The two state investigative agencies. The story is on page 6. It talks about an incident on Wednesday evening where police foiled an attempt by anti-graft investigators to arrest two detectives. Has revealed a simmering feud between the two agencies. The attempt by 4 officers from EACC to lay a trap and seize 2 officers attached to Kabete Directorate of Criminal Investigations has been interpreted by some police officers as an attempt to portray the DCI as corrupt. I remember in newsrooms we got that alert. EACC Kenya officers this evening laid a trap operation for DCI Kenya officers, Mr. Julius Oguma and Charles Masharia from Kabete Police Station. The 2 suspects demanded 1 million bribe from a foreigner, and the 2 suspects are DCI Kenya officers arrested by EACC and handcuffed, but were rescued by their colleagues from Kabete Police Station, who fired several rounds of ammunition as warning shots to facilitate the escape of their colleagues. The story went, I mean, that was an alert. And they said officers escaped with 100,000 shillings trap money, okay? While handcuffed, Kabete DCIO is facilitating EACC Kenya officers to find the suspect. This is grave. But it also brings forth another issue altogether that people have been talking about. But these investigative agencies have been saying nothing is going on because there's been talk, at least publicly. Right. They've been saying that there's no problem. But there's been talk and media reports talking about a tough war in the war against graft between EACC and DCI. First, do you think that is happening, and how detrimental could that be ultimately?
Number one, you know, something that has actually been rumored many times, Hussein, I think it could be happening, but probably it's being suppressed. I mean, I've had so many people talk about the incident that just happened, you know, the other day about the officers from the DCI and EACC. That just gives you a cloud that, you know, they may not actually be reading from the same script. And it's a bad thing for those 2 agencies not to be doing so. I agree and I understand what their leaders are saying. When you look at what the DPP is saying, he's saying, you know what, we don't have a problem, and these people know their mandate, they know what they need to be doing, they know where they are, you know, what their capacity and everything, you know, that comes to that office. When you look at on this other side, the DCI, George Kinoti, is also saying the very same thing. We have no problem, you know, we work together, we marinate, you know, things very well in our jurisdiction and functionalities. So I think what may come out very clearly is what we are seeing being displayed in public. Is this throwing them off, or is this throwing them away into the public gallery? So yes, they can be out there saying everything is okay, but by the pictures that we are seeing, it just confirms that everything is not rosy.
Okay, and as Honorable Elachi and Atandi, you respond to this, now that you say that, Gabriel, look at this when the story goes ahead to talk about the tension between DCI and DCC escalated in July when EACC Vice Chair Sophia Lepuchirit sought to have police barred from investigating corruption cases. And people have talked about overlapping between EACC and DCI. She actually was quoted then saying, economic crime cases should be solely investigated by the EACC and the Office of DPP, and police should deal with criminal cases alone. You're talking about police and DCI.
Hussein, right now Parliament is discussing the Public Accounts Committee report on the audited accounts of government for 2014-2015 financial year. And the whole of this week, we are going through that report. And if you go through that report, every recommendation that has been done for every ministry involves investigations by EACC. And we have seen in that report that financial accounts for towards the year 2006 to date have not been investigated. We are still asking EACC to go through that work since 2006 to date. We are talking about 2018 right now. That is, we're talking about 10 years of nothing going on. I'm trying to tell you how serious the EACC has failed this country. EACC, they cannot come back and tell us that investigation of economic crimes is something that should be left to them. What have they done before? So I think in this instance of conflict, I want to support DCI, the Department of Criminal Investigation, for what they're doing, because they're the team now that has given us some impetus as far as the war on corruption is concerned. And I've said here in this forum that in this panel that EACC should be disbanded because it is, first of all, they should be investigated. the DCI should investigate those EACC officers because they are also corrupt and they have undermined the war on corruption. On this one, I think EACC is crying for no reason. You know, look at even the reason why, the reason for this conflict. The EACC officers were laying a trap for a corruption involving 1 million shillings. And they have left...
which is their job.
But are they idle? Because why are they not investigating serious corruptions in counties involving governors and cabinet secretaries? Right. So there is really no excuse.
They have been. I mean, according to what we know, there are so many cases involving governors and other cases in counties. But I mean, you're entitled to your opinion when you say you don't think EACC has done enough. But could this become a bigger problem if we are to go with what Honorable Tandi says? Because DCI is not economic crimes only.
Let me finish the saying. Because of this tag of this conflict, I think we need to disband EACC so that we can allow the Director of Investigation to focus on these things.
But the question is, could they be stretched? Because this is criminal investigations, not only economic crimes.
Right.
Can they possibly handle everything corruption? Because that is why we had a body solely to focus on corruption called EACC.
Yeah, I think they are.
Or is it about strengthening EACC?
No, they are filling a gap, which has been left by non-performing EACC.
As I pick from that, yes, they might be filling a gap. And I think in 2016, the vacuum was very clear. And I think that is why the president was very frustrated at that time. And he would look and wonder. Now, what EACC should be doing is lobbying Parliament to strengthen themselves and ensure they have the tools now to work closely with the DPP. And I'm hoping the new CEO will come in and do that. But you still need the DCI. And therefore, the three departments, if they work together, we will have to reduce all this competition that we are, because this is competition, trying to prove we are the ones who are doing better, we are the ones who are doing better. It's not helping Kenya. It's not helping any person who has had his case or her case for 6 years and you're not closing that case. Because also, it's not fair to just take people to court and dragging them in court. You've denied them to clear the cases so that either one can go back and look for a job or do something. That is one thing that we should be asking ourselves. While we take all these cases to court, what is the end result? And I think that is one thing the DPP has been trying to do, that you ensure the case that goes to court is solid and watertight, that you will not find yourself going back and forth. Now, when you look at some of the cases that EACC forwarded to DPP, you've realized he has had to turn them back. When you look at some of the cases DCI has also done, you've realized he has to, DPP has turned them back, saying, relook at your cases so that when you're taking someone to court, we are not joking. We are not playing with the lives of people, but we are saying this is a case that has to go through. And what we want to request EACC as the new CEO, if he will be approved by Parliament, is that kindly come in and clear. There's a lot of backlog. And many people are wondering, for how long will I continue walking in and forth being questioned on all this?
It is true. I mean, EACC, the issue that Mheshimiwa has actually alluded to is quite factual, and it's been happening quite a lot. The issue of EACC, you know, investigating a particular economic crime, if you will, and then sending the file to DPP. All of a sudden, that file is brought back in. And you can understand, the DPP, as everybody knows, he's quite actually put a very spirited fight against, you know, these institutions. So it is only better for EACC to be strengthened. I'm one of those people who really don't like, you know, every time there's an issue, you say, let's scrap it, let's start from scratch. I don't think that's the solution. The solution is you inject as much, you know, vitality and strength in it so that they are able to investigate these matters better, give better convictions, and at the end of the day, when a file is brought into DPP can say, you know, actually, here, we can actually have results. Because at the end of the day, whether it is an individual or whether it's these three arms working together, what me and probably Mheshimiwa there and you actually, what we really care about is convictions. We want to know if this governor is caught stealing. What I care about is that he spends time in prison and that we know that particular area has been taken care of. I think Parliament, is it the high time they start looking into giving EACC prosecuting powers? We do not know. Would that actually help in you know, sorting some of this mess? Because at the end of the day, honestly, everybody will want to play their own trumpet. Everybody will want to be seen. You know what? We are doing something. But if you actually have been given all these instruments and you're still not being able to bring out serious convictions, then, you know, we'll look at you as if you failed. And the other thing, people nowadays, and this is funny, every time there's an issue, and it's a banter, it can be used as a banter. What are people saying? Get the DPP. Get the DPP.
Yeah.
Oh, they
have more confidence.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. But at the same time, we have to look at a few things. And I want Parliament to really look at the DCI's office. How do you also empower? Because when you're fighting, both of you, crimes, and one department is earning a good salary so that you retain them, and this other one, you are paying them I don't know what, and yet you want them to
that has been actually an issue between EACC and DPP.
And
these police officers in DCI feel EACC are being paid a lot.
Yes. And I hope we can look at that, and also the Commissioner of Police should look at it and say, if these are doing such a job that can tempt you to find yourself in another crime, then you have to relook at it properly.
But look at it also, I mean, look at the other side of it. So what we have, if a department of police, police officers getting more money because they're in the department fighting corruption. Now what happens to the other police officers?
What happens?
What do they want to do?
Let me tell you what I've observed in this country. If you are working in a department that is full of, as a large workforce, the tendency is for you to be paid less because you have many.
Yeah.
This is what's happening right now. The Parliament, we are considered so many, to an extent that even we can't even be given, for instance, car. You know, we can't be given a car to serve our people.
Opening this
So what's happening now? The EACC officers are being paid.
Did the government give you a grant?
Listen.
No, you brought an issue.
Let me make my point.
Yes, they do.
You know, let
us just go
grant
CDF. You have a CDF car.
You know, lately, there's this conversation about MPs wanting to increase their salaries, which is false, because that's not the truth. You know, what is being passed in Parliament is parliamentary service.
It's about welfare and the perks that people are against.
You see, the executive, the ministers, the cabinet secretaries, they're entitled to so many things. They're entitled to government vehicles for themselves and their families. And they are even entitled to government houses. Yeah. But when it comes to Parliament, we are told you are so many.
And I think that's where the problem comes in.
So the police are many, that's why they're being paid peanuts. And the EACC officers are few, that's why they're well taken care of. You know, this is really an argument
we need to look at
which we need to look at, and balance off.
Okay. All right, gentlemen and lady, thank you very much. Honorable Samuel Tandis, the MP Allegro Songa, Honorable Bitlis Elachi, and Gabriel Muduma is a political analyst and political and governance analyst. Thank you all for your time for us this morning on Newspaper Review. Daybreak continues.